Hello everyone and welcome to Introduction to Linux and Virtualization. I'll be your host today. My name is Douglas Tondreau and this is CSF 102. So this course is really going to focus on system fundamentals for cybersecurity. This is part one of a lecture on Introduction to Linux and Virtualization. So in this lecture, I am going to introduce you to some virtualization concepts. I'm going to show you how to set up a Linux environment and how to run a few testing tools and skills that we're going to learn for the most part. So what are we going to be learning about today in this course? So in this course today, we're going to really focus on the following. I'm going to teach you real quickly about the history of Linux. I don't want to spend too much time on the PowerPoints because I really want to spend a lot of time, running commands and getting our hands wet so we can really start to understand how these tools work and exactly what it is that they do. I'm also going to show you how to install and set up a virtual machine using VirtualBox because it's free, and then I'll also show you VMware as well if you're interested in purchasing the virtual environment. I'm going to introduce you to various Linux distributions that Linux has to offer. I'm going to introduce you to the Linux command line structure. I'm also going to show you how to use the Linux help command structure in case you remembered how to run a command but you kind of forgot exactly how to run the command and exactly what it is that it does. I'm also going to show you how to navigate the Linux directory structure. I'm going to show you how to use the basic Linux command line utilities to run some housekeeping commands that every technician or cybersecurity expert should know. I'm also going to show you how to install and download applications and various types of software in a Linux environment. Okay, so what is the history of Linux? Okay, so Linux was developed in the early 1990s by Linus. Okay, so Linux is essentially an operating system that has its roots in the older system Unix. If you're a Mac or an Apple user, you will notice kind of that the environment looks familiar or similar. That is because Mac is built off of the Unix and Linux environment. Okay, however, remember that Linux is unusual amongst the current offerings running on PCs in that it is an operating system that is an open source software. Okay, by open source, generally the software is provided free of charge. However, some software developers charge for enhanced versions or support services of the free version. Okay, some server versions are normally bundled with a service contract, and usually those versions are used by big companies that really have a lot of their backbone or their system sitting on that environment. Okay, so what are we going to learn in part one? So we're going to learn how to install and set up a virtual machine. So what will that entail? So let me actually show you real quickly what that's going to look like. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to set up VirtualBox and get VirtualBox up and running. So here is VirtualBox. Here is what it looks like. Okay, and we're going to learn how to actually create a brand new machine. If you don't have VirtualBox, where can you go to get it? You can simply go online, all right, and you can go to the following website. Okay, you can go to virtualbox.org, and actually by going to virtualbox.org, you will be able to download and set up VirtualBox on your own. Okay, and I'm going to quickly walk you through this. Again, this is part one, so I'm actually not going to set up any of the VirtualBox, but I'm actually just going to show you briefly kind of what the main focus that we're going to be focusing on for this part is. Again, here is the link. Okay, virtualbox.org/wiki/virtualbox. Okay, once you put that in, all right, you will keep it here just to make sure that everyone got it. Okay, once you keep it here, you will come here to this environment. You'll simply be able to go on downloads, and you can specify which host you want to use. So you want to use a Windows host, a OS X host, or a Linux distribution host. Again, we're going to go through a lot of that. Okay, so we're going to learn how to set up a virtual environment. Once you set up the virtual environment, what does that actually look like when you launch it on your system? So here's the virtual environment that we're going to be learning about. It's Linux. Okay, as you can tell, right? I can log into my Linux operating system, and everything looks pretty, clean and dandy, and it looks as if I'm running the same exact machine here. You can't really tell what's happening. I can go online, turn on the internet, browse, use Firefox, or anything that I really would normally use on my machine. Okay, so we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that. Okay, so we're going to learn how to install and set up a virtual machine. We're going to learn about the various different types of distribution that Linux has to offer. Okay, given that this is CSF 102, we're only really going to focus on Ubuntu because that's what we will need for majority of the portion of this course. Okay, so here is what the user interface for Ubuntu traditionally looks like. So other distributions Linux have is the GNOME desktop. Okay, again, I'm going to share links with you where you can get access to all of those operating systems if you're interested in them. Again, remember, we're only really focusing on the Linux Ubuntu distribution because for the most part they all do the same. The different versions are really focused around different needs, like if you want it to be lighter, not resource heavy, etc. And we'll get into what all of that means. Other versions or distributions that Linux offers is the KDE desktop version, the XFCE desktop version, as you can tell, right, has the same dashboard similar to your Mac. The Cinnamon desktop, which is I think the latest Linux Mint distribution that Linux recently released. Okay, we're also going to talk about the Linux command line structure. So Linux commands are entered in a standard format featuring commands followed by a space and a number of options or switches or arguments depending on the function of the command wildcards, and it can be used in the same way as with the Windows command line. What does all of that really mean? Let me actually show you what I'm talking about, right? Because it's better to show than to just read a bunch of PowerPoint. So if I come here into my terminal and I go here, all right, as you can tell, I can actually come in here and I can write a command. So let me try to change. Let me see if that'll work. 2, 1. Nope. So let's clear this. So what are some commands I can run? I can do, hold on. I can do something like echo, right? And in quotes, I can put hello world, right? And as you can tell, the Linux will come back and show me hello world, right? So pretty much what I just did here is I wrote exactly what the definition just said. If I write ls, you will notice all of my directories are being displayed: desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, etc. If you don't know what all of that means by now, I guarantee you by the end of this course, all of this will be clear and it will make sense. So don't worry, okay? However, you know, based on what the definition says is exactly kind of what we're going to learn how to do, okay? You will become a guru, if not a novice, by the end of this course, really understanding and learning how to use Linux. We're also going to learn how to navigate the Linux directory, given that Linux also has a directory system similar to most Windows operating systems. We're going to learn how to kind of use that. If you don't know what a directory is, just think about a file cabinet with a bunch of folders inside of it. So we're going to learn how to navigate and switch around in the different folders. So for example, okay, let's take a look. Okay, right now I have my Linux environment here, right? And if I go to preferences or system tools, you'll notice I have a lot of things that's going on here. If I click on this folder, right, you'll notice my desktop folder, documents, downloads, music, pictures, public, templates, etc. So all of this is essentially my directory, right? It doesn't show here because I didn't allow it to show. I just placed it here. So I'm going to show you how to configure that to get it all to show properly, okay? So we're going to learn how to use that as well. We're going to learn how to use the Linux help command. The help command, again, is another command line or terminal command that we're going to learn. Let's say, you know, I go through a bunch of commands and you don't really recall what one of those commands do. What you can actually do, which is pretty cool, is, you know, you can write part of the command and help, and Linux will actually show you the different options that you have available for that help command, so you'll be able to utilize that as well, okay? The basic command line utilities. So I'm going to go through some of the basic command lines that you could utilize, how to use those different utilities and get different results. Lastly, I'm going to show you how to install and download applications and software in a Linux environment, okay? I know you're probably wondering, what are some of those commands or those cool commands that we're going to learn? So let's take a look. I actually created a sheet for you, which I will share with you by the end of the course, right? So how do I get back to parent directory, current directory? So here's a list of all of the commands that we are going to be using and learning how to use in our Linux environment, okay? So The core commands that a technician should know to navigate the Linux file structure include the following: ls, cp, mv, rm, and cd, and many more that will be covered in this course. Okay, so again, this list is going to get a whole lot bigger, but I'm just starting you guys off with some of the basic commands. All right, so we're going to have some fun in this course. I hope you're definitely enjoying what you're learning for the most part, and that you will definitely tune in for the second part of the course. And please remember, if you to leave a comment in the video, let me know what your thoughts are, and subscribe to the channel so you can continue to learn more about cybersecurity and system fundamentals. All right. Thank you for joining me and watching the lecture. I hope to see you. Please remember to tune in on the second part of the lecture. Thank you, guys.